Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? I have had it with these snakes on this plane!
Number 2, practice the snake style.
Snakes have been with us from the beginning, serving as symbols of our fears, our anxieties of temptation, rebirth, and sensuality. Snakes have an uncanny nature. They seem to glide over ground without effort or slip over water by magical power. They are fully articulated, elusive, and difficult to hold and capture. They are stealthy and can slip through small places. In ancient Greece and ancient Egypt, snakes symbolize fertility and immortality. The head of Medusa was also crowned by snakes. The Ouroboros still symbolizes the endless cycle of life, death, and rebirth, both literal and metaphorical. Whether the symbolism is positive or negative, there's no denying that across all cultures, snakes hold vast symbolic power. Leave it to Benu to come up with a line of viper-inspired fountain pens, wrapping the barrel of the pen with a beautifully articulated snake. In this case, it's the bamboo viper, or the Timoresiris stengenergi, or something along those lines. This is a venomous pit viper with a geographic range of India, southwestern China, Vietnam, and Taiwan. They live in dense forests, cool vegetation, usually near streams and bodies of water. The bamboo viper has a maximum length of 75 centimeters. It's bright, vivid green with a pale green to whitish color below. These snakes are carnivores and eat small rodents, lizards, birds, frogs, anything they can get their mouths around. Now, getting bit by one of these snakes is extremely unpleasant. The bite site immediately feels as if it were punctured by a double hot poker driven by a pneumatic hammer. The pain only grows from there. Over the next day, the wound turns black and the flesh around it dies from necrosis. Fortunately, due to the low toxicity, you should survive. The bamboo pit viper that is coiled around this pen is much safer. It is there, seemingly relaxing but ready to strike. It is beautifully done in really fine detail. It's hand painted, which I love as well. Holding this pen in your hand is really interesting because the details really come out. You can see the way the light plays across the scales of this snake that is raised above the black background. The black background is sort of spider-webbed with lines and connections and just really interesting in a real rich background with Benu sprinkled across the barrel of the pen. And the snake itself has what seems to be iridescent scales. It's one of the highlights of the pen for me, just the way the light plays across the scaly body of this snake in beautiful iridescent colors from red to green to blue. It's fascinating how they do this. It carries all of the potent symbolism of snakes in a very comprehensive and beautiful design. It is made of high quality resin. It's 13.6 centimeters long or 5.35 inches. It weighs 20 grams, which is really very, very light, making it a very pleasurable, interesting writer. The design of this pen just adds to it. It doesn't force you into any kind of compromises. There are no rough edges that are brushing against your hand. Another highlight for me is the head of the snake, how it's just so gloriously iridescent. The very dark and interesting eye of the snake seems fixed at a point beyond its focus. Its forked tongue is fully extended and lapping the tip of the pen. It's all rendered extremely realistically and in absolutely amazing detail. It is very important for me to mention that this pen does not post, so if you are an adamant poster, this may not be the pen for you. There is no way to get the cap onto this serpentine body. The snake's body curls around the edge of the cap 3 times in glorious bands of serpentine scales. At the opposite end of the cap at the bottom of the pen, the snake terminates into a very narrow tail that is just pressed against the barrel, making the snake a complete creature, poised, curled, languorous. It uses a number 5 Schmidt nib that can be had extra fine, medium, or broad for a nice range of choices there. I like these Schmidt nibs. I find them to be very reliable, very smooth, and really pretty to look at. So they're decent, solid nibs. I can't really gush effusively about a Schmidt nib. It's smooth, it's reliable, it feels fantastic, but it's not something new or exciting or interesting. There's no real bounce to this or extreme character, but it's very, very pleasurable, very nice, very precise. This one is a fine and it writes beautifully smooth, precise. It's a pleasure. It comes with a standard international converter and an ink cartridge to get you started, so you have your choice there. Where it really shines is if you like to use your pens as an eyedropper. You can convert this to an eyedropper pen, and then it has an enormous ink capacity. This is a pen that makes a huge statement. May not be suited for the office.
I'm not a fool, Plissken. Call me Snake.
Or other work environments, unless you're in a creative field. But at home, when you're journaling in those quiet times for your poems, for your letters, it is a pen that really makes a statement, even if that statement's just to yourself. It's a very beautiful, interesting pen, and I frankly love that I have it in my lineup. They're often someone's maybe 6th, 7th fountain pen, and I think that's great. I think they're interesting, and not just for a herpetologist, but anyone who likes animals or into snakes. It's just really beautiful and just different. It's nice to have some variety in your collection. So what do you think of this Benu Bamboo Pit Viper fountain pen? Do you find it as intriguing and interesting as I do? Let me know in the comments, and if you've enjoyed this video, please share it with someone else. I'd love to meet some new people. And if you want to support the channel, please subscribe or consider becoming a member. For Cognoscenti Illuminati members, we have a pen pal group. I'd love to have you behind the scenes, see what's going on there. So I make new videos all the time, and I have a live show as well. So I can promise you, we'll see each other again very, very soon, further up the road. So take care of yourself.